It could affect electric power, phone service, air travel, major governmental service. As the Vice President said, we're not just talking about computer networks, but billions of embedded chips built into everyday products.
The new year is usually welcomed in with lots of celebration. Now we await the new millennium. The countdown is on till clocks and computers around the globe will shift from December 31st, 1999 to January 1st, 2000. Never in human history has the changing of a date been so widely anticipated and now feared. So many of the most basic aspects of daily life that we take for granted are at risk, simply due to possible widespread computer failure. Whether you see them or not, we depend on computers every day, sometimes for life itself. You assume the grocery store will be well stocked with food, or to be able to pump gas whenever you need it. If you need some extra cash, the ATM is on 24 hours a day. If you work a regular job or get a pension, you expect to be paid at the same time every month. When it gets dark, no problem. Just turn the switch and there's light. When it gets a little chilly outside, you simply turn up the heat. We think it's virtually our right to have water to drink, cook, and bathe with. And it sure is hard to imagine life without the telephone.
The trouble is, most of us can't even imagine losing these services because we can't see the computers that run much of society today. The computers are so transparent, so invisible, that it's hard to even imagine something like the Y2K problem. Hi, I'm Ed Jordan. This is my daughter, Jennifer Jordan. Perhaps you've seen the book that we've written called Time Bomb 2000. I've been in the computer field for 35 years. I've written some 25 other books on computer software. Jennifer has been on Wall Street for the last 7 years, focusing on economics and finance.
There's widespread concern that the year 2000 computer rollover problem, commonly referred to as Y2K, will cause severe disruptions and failures that affect the personal aspects of our daily lives.
The problem is that many computers have been programmed so that they won't recognize the rollover from 99 to 00. Some computers will stop, some will begin to misbehave, some of them will generate grossly incorrect output, which might not matter unless, of course, it's your paycheck. I know this sounds almost unbelievable, but it's not some form of science fiction. Around the world today, hundreds of thousands of programmers are working as hard as they can to fix the problem, but they probably won't have enough time to finish. Nobody knows exactly how bad the problem will be, but we feel that it's best to prepare for the worst, even though we hope for the best.
In this program, we plan to discuss various aspects of personal preparedness, which we think you should be concentrating and working on now. The subjects will include food and food storage, water storage and treatment, lighting, heating, and cooking, personal hygiene, and medical supplies. Let's start with food and food storage. I'd like to hand it over to our host, Avian Rogers, and personal preparedness expert, James Stevens, for food preparation tips.
Hi, I'm here with James Stevens, the author of the classic text on personal preparedness called Making the Best of Basics. And now he's come out with this wonderful resource guide with a special Y2K focus called Don't Get Caught with Your Pantry Down. That's a great title.
My wife came up with that.
Glad you could make it over here. So, James, it seems sort of alarming when you start talking about food storage and food preparation.
Most people don't think about being prepared in terms of having food. They think about money in the bank, they think about life insurance, they think about automobile insurance. But food actually is life assurance. It assures that life will go on regardless of what's going on outside the doors.
And now it just looks like Y2K is what we know is on the horizon, and we should make special preparations.
I think Y2K is the latest, greatest motivator to be prepared, because if you're truly prepared, there are no emergencies. And certainly, if you have a disaster, you can overcome it with food. It helps a great deal.
Well, and the beauty of food is regardless of what happens, you can always eat it, and so it's a resource that doesn't go to waste.
Yeah, absolutely. It renews our lifeblood, as it were. Let me tell you that well, let's start with, how about some of the food we have here and show people how simple it is. First of all, first rule of storage is to store what you eat. Second rule of storage is to eat what you store. Pretty tough, aren't they?
Just do more of it.
Just do more of it. The third is rotate, rotate, rotate. Or you can mark it, date it, rotate it. Let me tell you what that means. You want to mark it with some kind of indicator as to when the date is by which you must use it. So we have here a system, and for example, this case of this can of milk shows the date.
That shows that it should be used by May.
By November. By November, it has 2 dots.
Now, a lot of the canned food, though, will last quite a long period of time.
Yes, but industry, the federal government requires that industry tell us the date by which it must be sold. It has shelf life after that, most of it about 2 years.
Because I noticed here, like, for example, on this canned ham, that it's got a date of November 2000, so that's going to be around.
That's the sell date at the retail location. It still has valid shelf life, years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
So what we want to be doing is constantly rotate. Even as we're buying, we use the oldest food first and then replenish it as we're using it. So we're constantly cycling through our foods.
Use it by the date
Yes.
You're supposed to, and you won't lose it.
Okay.
Use it or lose it is the rule.
Let's look at the kinds of foods. I mean, this looks like anything, just anything here you could buy at the grocery store.
Everything here, I think, was bought at a grocery store. They're the staples, such as pasta. You have peanut butter, which is certainly a staple at our house.
Tuna fish will last forever.
Tuna fish, crackers, comfort foods. We call these the comfort foods. They're the ones that make you feel comfortable because they have all the fat in it. It makes you feel good.
There's no reason why we can't have a little enjoyment in our diet, even if things might be compromised and our resources might be limited.
Good tasting food is delightful. That's why we store spices. And we also want to have a good life by having vitamin supplements and
yes, I like a lot
minerals
of
in our
nutritional
diet.
supplements.
We also store paper products. As you can see here, we have the toilet paper, the feminine products, and the baby products as necessary in food storage. Napkins, plates, cups.
So the case was then we don't have to worry about washing dishes if again we have special problems with water and availability.
If we plan our food storage around camping, which is what, without electricity, you're going to be camping in your kitchen or camping in your house. Just plan to have a good time at it.
And you don't have to do anything weird. This is all very normal, typical stuff. I mean, what are some special things that people need to consider, like for babies or?
Obviously, we want to have, if you have children, if you have babies in the house, you want to have baby supplies, food supplies. If you have a person with a special diet, such as diabetic or geriatric, you want to have products for them too. And they know what they are. You want to have long-term storage products that will give you health. There's even milk you can now buy that'll store on the shelf for 6 to 8 months.
Don't need refrigeration.
Don't need refrigeration.
That's fantastic.
So you try to plan around the fact that you're up in the mountains camping out and you don't have an ice chest. And if you take that attitude, remember.
Leo, the thing about this, this looks easy. This looks very manageable and something that anybody can do.
Anybody can do it if they'll just sit down, determine their vulnerability to the natural disasters, the man-caused disasters, of which Y2K is one, and the personal disasters, debility, disability, death, whatever.
So people should be buying for at least 2 to 4 weeks, but perhaps for even 6 months to a year then.
A person should buy all the food they possibly can, given the amount of resources they have to dedicate to food. We don't recommend that they go out and remortgage the house or to sell the farm to do it, but they should make a commitment to having food on hand, as our forefathers did.
Yeah,
our grandparents
exactly.
always, I went to my grandparents' home and there were always hams hanging out on the porch and food and bottles and things. Well, those may not be the best things we can do today for our body, but you can certainly buy the products now with today's technology to protect them and make them available in the future.
Well, this, as you said, I mean, this kind of availability of food has really only happened in the last 100 years, and so this is something the way that we've lived as a civilization for centuries. Now, I could live very well on what we have between here and the pantry. How do we go about? What are recommendations for how to properly store food? What are some of the deterrents that can happen to food?
First abiding rule is store food in the area where you live. It is live food. It has nutrition in it, so you want to give it at least the regard you give your own body.
What about the garage?
Nothing edible should go in the garage. It'll shorten its life because the things that shorten the life of foods, the storage foods, are, first of all, temperature. Quickly deteriorates food. Light is not good for food. That's why it comes packed in cans to which light won't go. So you want to protect foods, obviously, from light. Humidity. Keep things dry. Pasta will mold. Beans and other kinds of things will start to sprout if they get too humid. So you want to protect them in these containers from humidity. And also you want to protect it from infestation and vermin. But the most important thing you have to protect all food from is the passage of time.
Oh,
that's why the chart is so important, to keep track of how long things have been in storage and when they should be used.
But many of these things now, because we're looking at really foods that don't require refrigeration,
Correct.
will last often in many cases for years.
Yes, the stored foods. Sauerkraut doesn't have a very long storage time, nor do the tomato products. But virtually everything else will store for years.
These are some really nice containers,
Yes.
Airtight, watertight.
If you keep the humidity out, great.
And
Keep the
with
bugs out.
Screw-top lids
makes
like
it simple.
that, it can fit a 3-gallon or a 5-gallon.
5-gallon or
yes.
6-gallon.
And then I've noticed you've got these very convenient type of containers that'll fit into any closet or pantry.
That keeps the
cabinet.
popcorn from getting too moist and the potato chips from wilting.
It doesn't take long. And very convenient, smaller kinds of plastic type containers.
Mostly to organize it. There's not much you can do to pasta except get it wet. So there are many things that you really can't hurt. They are stable when you buy them.
And show us this interesting box that you have here.
For sprouting, one of the most wonderful things you can do for your body is to sprout seeds, beans, grains, because they will have up to 170 times more nutrition.
I love
if you sprout.
sprouts in a salad bar.
Everybody goes for the alfalfa, and for pennies you can do that much. And you can mix and match beans and peas to get a great taste. And you can just pour a little salad dressing over them, take them straight, or use this in lieu of lettuce.
Great. I mean, another thing not to forget are a non-electric can opener. You're not going to get too far if you can't open up your cans. Now, in closing, James, I would think people should start preparing now. We don't want to wait until November or December of 1999. When should people start?